What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dillard, bringing you guys another podcast. This is the Barnyard podcast number 33. I'm here with my dear friend again, Mr. John, my co-host. How are you doing today, John?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good to hear. It's always good to hear.
Moved on at least.
It's a good note that you're not drinking alcohol or throwing things around the room like you've done in past podcasts before. That might change here soon, though. But we actually haven't done a podcast since before the series started, or we talked about the first game, but we didn't end up talking about the second game, where the Yankees ended up winning 10-9. It was just a cluster of it was basically just a train wreck all the way through the game.
Bad baseball.
Very, very bad.
Oh, it was good. It was great to watch. It was horrible to have a dog in the fight.
I mean, okay, so first off, if we're going to talk about everything about this game, can we just talk about the fact that MLB basically forced the Yankees to play in a monsoon, like a F5 tornado type of storm out in Cleveland? Literally a monsoon. This team had to go out there and play, and then Tanaka's forced to pitch in a monsoon. And, the Indians just take advantage of them, and it's like, well, where's our monsoon? Can we not play in a monsoon? Can we not turn the tide on Carlos Carrasco? Because you are lying. There is no way you can sit up there and tell me with a straight face, even though these guys are major league pitchers, that the rain does not affect them. Time in and time out, I've seen countless baseball games, not just from the Yankees, but every team in this entire league, and on multiple occasions, more often than not, pitchers struggle when it rains because they can't get a grip on the ball. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It was really weird. I was not enjoying it. Yankee Twitter was not enjoying it. Everybody was like, cancel the game or suspend the game right now, please, because we're playing a freaking monsoon. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's bad for baseball. Someone's going to get hurt. They're going to slip and break their leg somehow. Like the dude from SpongeBob, who's always like, my leg. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just bad. The game started off very bad. The Indians ended up scoring 4 runs in the first inning. It was just cluster. After that, you know what they say. You know what they say on Yankee Twitter, though. As soon as the opposing team scores 1 run in the first inning or more, it's game over. It's like everybody. It's like half the fan base just decides to pack up their bags and leave. And I'm like, God, you guys are the most overreactive people in the freaking universe. I don't get it. But yeah, we got the monsoon, and then going forward, the Yankees scored 1 in the second, 4 in the fourth, which was off a mammoth grand slam. I actually tried to check StatCast, and Gio Urshela broke StatCast, and I was like, I couldn't find it. Even at the end of the game, like I was refreshing the StatCast page, and I couldn't even find it. By the way, the home run that Gary hit that I thought was a fly out to right field, and it just kept carrying and carrying, somehow Gary Sanchez broke StatCast on that too, which is very interesting. I thought that was a flyout. Gary Sanchez thought that was a flyout too, and it just went out, and I was like,
the wind took it.
It was kind of funny though, because weren't they saying before the game started, like the weather reports, weren't they saying that the wind was blowing was blowing away usually, like away from where the ball is traveling around the right center field area?
You look at the flags when he hit it. The flags were going straight into the corner, right? So I mean, that's probably just got caught up in there and just went out.
It was just so weird because it was really funny at first because Gary Sanchez thought it was a fly out, and I thought it was a fly out. I was like, is that ball going to keep carrying? And it just kept going and going. I was like, wow, John, it's about freaking time that Gary Sanchez caught a break. He caught a break for once.
Yeah, I wonder what the expected batting average was on that thing. I mean, it couldn't have been high. I mean, it must have been like easily like in the hundreds.
I would have to check back on that. I'm not entirely sure, but all I know is the ball, honestly, on a normal day or any other day than that day where Gary Sanchez just got extremely lucky and found a 5-leaf clover, any other day that ball stays in the field and it just doesn't go out because that's Gary Sanchez's luck. It's even worse for him because he's Gary Sanchez and he's had terrible stats in terms of balls in play and in the top percentile for barrel percentage and hard hit percentage, and the guy just can't catch a break. I'm just so happy for him. I'm happy that he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, I know.
And for the first time this whole season, I didn't hear a single Yankee fan complain about Gary Sanchez, which that made me very, very happy, because that is a rarity. Because apparently he's quote unquote fat and lazy, as people have told you over the years. But there's that. Also the Gio Grand Slam was crazy. Outside of the Tatis bat flip from I think it was game 2 versus the St. Louis Cardinals. One of the most nastiest bat flips I've seen, not in just the postseason. I'm still not gonna say that that bat flip is better than the bat flip that Jose Bautista did, but it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to compete with that bat flip. That's just legendary. That's gonna be one of the greatest bat flips of all time. Might stay as the greatest of all time forever. Who knows? We'll see. But definitely a nasty bat flip from Gio. Must have felt really good, considering Gio Urshela used to play on the Indians. He didn't get a lot of playing time. Didn't get a lot of time to shine.
You say that, but he was on the field in the playoffs in 2017 against us. So he clearly they trusted him in some capacity to be on the field.
That is true.
Playoffs.
That is true, but at the same time, though, he only had 135 plate appearances on both years that he played with the Indians. That's not a lot of time. That's a very, very small sample size. In Blue Jays, he didn't really get much better. Which, to be fair, I still think the reason why he's gotten so much better is, when he went down to Scranton, and I think it was something, you could quote me on this if I'm wrong. Sorry if I'm going off topic, but this is definitely something really interesting to think about. There was an article that I read where it said something about how Gio wasn't following through with a swing, and then he went to Scranton, and he fixed this little minor adjustment. And ever since that, he's been a 30% above league average hitter in terms of WRC plus for the past 2 years. I think last year his WRC plus was 133, and this year it's right at the same level. I think it was 135. So it's just how do you explain that? Because look at this. I will go to Fangraphs and type in Urshela and go to his WRC plus. And if you go to his WRC plus, for some reason it's showing me fielding. Why is it showing me fielding?
So the thing that I heard was that when he went to Scranton, he learned how to activate his legs and use his legs, and also he learned to follow through by taking the bat and hitting the back of his shirt with it. That's basically what they taught him how to do, and it works out really well so far.
Okay.
Had a long ball.
I am sorry for interrupting you right now, but I literally just went to Fangraphs and I typed in Urshela's name, and it's showing nothing but defense. Did he break Fangraphs too? How is this possible? I'm literally... How do I even show this? How do I show this? Look at this. Look at this. I don't know if this is showing up. If it's not showing up, I'll put it in the podcast, but I'm literally going through Gio Urshela's name, and it's showing nothing but fielding. This is crazy. This has never happened before.
Because he didn't do anything batting wise. He was just a black hole of offense for 2 years.
No, that's in general. That's in general. I just typed in his name and it. Okay, so apparently Gio Urshela not only broke StatCast, but he broke Fangraphs. Okay, so let me go to Baseball Reference. Maybe Baseball Reference won't be down, because I actually am very surprised that came up. I did not expect that at all, to be honest with you. So you go to 2015, 2017 with the Indians, okay? 608 OPS, 551 OPS. And you go to Toronto, 608 OPS. Then you go to New York, 2019, 889 OPS. 2020, 858 OPS. I mean, the OBP, the average, the slugging, everything went up dramatically, and it's just the OPS plus. If you went to Fangraphs and it wasn't down, it would say his WOBA was significantly better, and his our WRC plus was significantly better, and it's just that man has done a lot of work for this team. He's been a blessing that came at the exact right time, and I still don't feel like a lot of people appreciate Urshela enough, considering how much he's getting paid. He is greatly outperforming how much he's getting paid. No doubt in my mind. it's just insane. Like, have you ever just sat there and stopped and looked? It's like, well, obviously you're going to say some things about Judge coming up when we talk about the upcoming series, but you think about players like Judge, how amazing he's been, Stanton, and just guys like that. And then you look at Urshela, and it's like, obviously Urshela is not a better player than Judge or Judge and Stanton are, but at the same time, it's just where you sit there and you just can't help but become mesmerized by how much Gio Urshela has done since last year. He's just been a blessing. Him and DJ have both been a blessing in disguise. Urshela a little bit more, just thinking about the circumstances. I mean, DJ, they signed him to a 2-year deal, so obviously they saw some potential in him from Colorado. But Gio Urshela, I mean, that was kind of like the Luke Voit trade. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, and nobody really expected anything out of it, and then just bam, And then we could talk about Luke Voit. He's just been killing it ever since he got here. So, I guess the one thing that I will say, I know this is kind of random, and I know I'm getting off topic, but I like talking about these types of things. I know Brian Cashman and the Yankees in general haven't been the best of acquiring starting pitching outside of Garrett Cole lately, although I do think Paxton is better than what people give him credit for, even though the velo, he's had issues with it. But in terms of positional players, is there anyone who's done it better lately than Cashman? I mean, seriously. And I'm not trying to be biased. Like, if you can throw any names out there, I'm definitely willing to have a conversation and think about it. Because it just seems like Cashman with positional players, he just pulls these players out of thin air. You got Luke Voit, and you have Gio Urshela, and it's just like you can keep going on and on and on. Mike Tauchman, I know Mike Tauchman hasn't been the greatest thing this year, let's be honest. But last year, I mean, he did quite a bit for what he was expected to do, especially the defense. He was an elite defender last year. So it's just kind of like these talents that Cashman just kind of pulls out of nowhere, and it's very impressive to me. But the same time, I also do understand the pitching is a little out of the abnormality outside of Garrett Cole. But it's like anyone's gonna go out and sign Garrett Cole. I mean, anybody's gonna do that. So I'm not gonna give him too much credit for that. But I mean, seriously, John, like, can you sit there and can you think of someone in terms of positional players that has just been more of a magician than Brian Cashman and just the Yankees organization in general? Because I really just can't think of a team that's like pulled players out of thin air and they just produce. When like beforehand they weren't really doing that much. Especially Urshela is an excellent example coming from Cleveland and Toronto.
It's kind of like the Astros with pitching, or in the Rays with pitching. You know what I mean? It's just like they just pull these people out of thin air, and you're just like, what is happening? Mm-hmm. But Cashman's the other way, because he just pulls these offensive powerhouses out of nowhere, and they just go off. And I don't get it. Like, who are these people? I swear. Who did we trade for Urshela? Was it Garrett Cooper, I think? Was that maybe? I don't remember the trade exactly. But, I mean, like, God, we just trade nobody, and, like, I'm surprised people ever let him get away with this anymore. Like, I'm sorry. If Brian Cashman comes to my house and they say, we want that player down in AA that's been there for 5 years, I'd be like, hell no. No. Clearly, you like this guy. I'm not going to give him to you unless this offer is incredible. Like, if you offer me a ride in his private plane, I'll do it.
And it's kind of like Paxton. Like, he got Paxton for trading away Justice Sheffield. I mean, I'm just like, I know, like, that's kind of turned into a somewhat debatable argument because, like I said, the pitching is a little bit different. Even though I am a big supporter of Paxton, I have a hoodie of his, so I must be a big supporter of his. Which wasn't cheap, by the way. That was pretty pricey because MLB loves to overcharge their hoodies. But
how'd that turn out?
Here's the thing, though. Like,
how's Paxton doing?
He's still an above-average pitcher, though.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Unfortunately, we may not ever see him as a Yankee again. I'm just saying. Well, actually, no. I take that back. He's on the roster.
Here's the thing. Would you rather have James Paxton or Justice Sheffield? Come on.
Right now?
You would rather have Justice Sheffield still.
He's no. Look, okay. I love James Paxton. If we're talking about James Paxton with only half a useful arm versus Justice Sheffield, Justice Sheffield maybe right now. I mean, last I checked, he was carving up people in Seattle. I'm just saying. He's on Seattle still, right?
Yes, he is.
Last I checked,
Just like Nestor Cortez Jr. is still on
Nestor
Seattle too.
Cortez Jr. No, I thought Nestor Cortez
Oh
was
no,
on the
no,
Marlins.
is he?
We kicked the crap out of him when we played the Marlins.
No. He's with the Mariners. He's with the Mariners this year.
Are
Yeah.
you sure?
Yeah,
Who was the person-
because
who was the
I remember specifically. I just checked Fangraphs, but even without looking at Fangraphs confirming it, I remember because there was one game this year where I was watching the Mariners play the Angels because I always love watching Mike Trout for obvious reasons, and the Mariners just were getting bludgeoned to death, and it was because
Wow.
Nestor Cortez was giving up home runs left and right like it was a bake sale. So, yeah, I do remember because of that game that he is still playing with the Mariners, for that matter of fact.
Who is the Yankees pitching legend that plays for the Mariners now? I don't understand.
Not Justice Sheffield, apparently, right?
No, I'm looking. Not the Marlins. Who is that guy? We used to have him. I thought it was Nestor Cortez.
No, it's definitely not Nestor because he's on the Mariners right now.
That's who it is. Stephen
Yes,
Tarpley.
Stephen Tarpley. You know, when I saw him for that one game that he pitched against the Marlins, I was like, oh man, that's bad. Like, I kind of figured it was coming too because I'm like, there's no way he's about to shut down this lineup.
To be fair, he actually managed to record now. It could have been worse.
So, moving on from Brian Cashman and Justice Sheffield, because we could probably sit here and have a debate.
If Cashman was healthy, I would love him every single day. Unfortunately, he's not healthy.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the final argument and the nail in the coffin. James Paxton, in a larger stretch of time, has proven that he is more reliable and sufficient than Justice Sheffield. Boom. Donezoed. Moving on, because we could talk about this all day.
I love James Paxton, but you say he's been reliable, and when was the last time he pitched 200 innings in a season?
Let's look this up, just so I'm not wrong about it.
How many innings did Garrett Cole pitch last year?
200 innings?
How many innings did Garrett Cole pitch last year? We have BP ref. Let's look this up. 212 innings last year, and then 200 and 203.
Okay, here's my counter argument to this. You say that, but Tanaka has never pitched over 200 innings since 2014 being on the Yankees.
Okay.
Tanaka hasn't pitched over that long.
Do you know why he hasn't pitched that long?
I don't know which answer I don't know which answer you're looking for, but
he hasn't looking for is he always manages to get injured.
Okay, so are you gonna say something about Tanaka too? If you're gonna say something about James Paxton?
I'm just saying you're like he's reliable. I'm like,
I mean, at least James Paxton has the good numbers. James Paxton
as a car from 48.
Okay, okay. Here's the last thing I'm gonna say, and we're moving on because we got more topics to talk about. James Paxton in his career has a ERA that is above league average, so good, not bad. So when I say above league average, I say in a good way, so it's positive.
Wait, hold on. When you say he's above league average, does that mean he's worse or
no?
better?
He's better. He's better.
He's below league average.
So okay, so whatever. You get what I mean. So if I have to say it below for you to understand this, so in terms of ERA, since his debut, he is below league average in ERA, FIP, xFIP. I don't know about WHIP. I'll have to get back to you on that later. But I do know also SIERA and FWAR for pitchers. So what that tells me is he is a good pitcher. Now, I understand that, but you could probably use the same argument for Stanton, and you could probably use the same argument for Judge, is that obviously these guys are really, really good players, but they have to stay on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're wrong about that, okay? I'm not saying it's a good thing that Paxton has only pitched 20.1 innings this year. I don't like that. I want him to pitch more. I obviously have a hoodie for the guy for a reason. I want him to pitch every fifth or sixth day, Yeah.
I'm not saying bad. It's just I wish he would just come to work every day.
All right, I can't argue with you about that, okay? I get it. At the end of the day, no matter how good every player is, I want them to come ready to play, and I don't want them to hurt themselves while jogging down the first baseline. So, anyways, I guess the last thing that we can talk about with the game against the Indians that game is it was just a total train wreck. It was one of those games where it just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then DJ LeMahieu. I mean, what more do you ask for? I mean, when you're watching that game, do you think of anything other than DJ's going to come up in a big spot here? Did you have any doubt that DJ would come out in a big spot? Because, when he did so, I'm just like, it's just a normal day at the office for DJ freaking LeMahieu. I mean, he does it in his sleep. He does it every freaking time. Every possible scenario, this guy gets in a position where he could give the team a lead in a big spot. He just comes away with it. I'm not even surprised anymore. I almost just expect it every time now.
This is the second straight playoff series where DJ drove in the last run we scored.
And then you flip the sides, and then you go to the bottom of the ninth inning, and you're just like, oh my, can we just end this freaking game already? And Aroldis Chapman was getting, cute with a little bit, even though he did look good.
I don't care. That guy swung. He swung. Everyone's like, "Look at his swing!" Like, he swung. That bat was like a foot in front of the plate. Like, he swung.
Here's an interesting piece of trivia. Do you know, as of right now, in the playoffs, do you know who has been the most productive player on the Yankees roster so far? I mean, obviously this could change moving forward with the Rays, but do you know who's been the most productive Yankee in the past 2 games that they played the playoffs so far?
Garrett Cole.
I'm more leaning towards positional players.
Oh, okay.
Because to be fair, pitchers only pitch one day. This guy who I'm talking about obviously played both games.
Let's go with the easy answer would be Gio.
No.
All right, how about Luke Voigt?
No.
Well, is it DJ then?
No.
It's not Eric Kratz.
No, it's not Eric Kratz. Of course not. He's a player that everybody has been waiting so long for him to get in a groove.
Oh, that's my guy. Really?
Who?
Both games?
Who do you think I'm talking about?
You're not talking about Gareth, are you?
Who?
Gary Sanchez?
No, not Gary Sanchez. But Gary Sanchez has looked awesome lately. He's looked amazing. No, but it's not. Huh?
How about can I say that?
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. No. It's not. No, it's not It's not him. Come on, you're missing out of everybody. He's the guy who killed the Indians. He bludgeoned them.
But I thought that Brett Gardner didn't have a great second game.
No, it's not Gardner. It's not Gardner either. You're literally guessing everybody but this one guy.
Giancarlo Stanton?
No, but Giancarlo Stanton, to be fair, is the second best in the series.
Like golden sombreros this series.
It's not Stanton. I would definitely say Stanton was second, though.
Gleyber Torres?
Yes. Gleyber freaking Torres. We've been waiting forever for him to get hot, and he looked great.
First game.
He's looked awesome.
How did he do in the second game?
The second game, he had 1 hit and 2 walks. But
I'd argue that Gio has been better.
Well, I wouldn't say that, though, because Gio Urshela at the end of both games had a .667 slugging. Gleyber Torres had a 1.143 slugging. Gleyber Torres has a .714 average and an .800 on-base percentage. I'm going with Gleyber.
I base my argument on the fact that Gio drove in more runs in clutch situations, and also Gio made most of his throws to first base, unlike Torres, where every time he tries to throw the ball, you have to, you do this.
But here's the thing, though. You go back to let's go back to the first game. I was about to say game 2. We're already talking about game 2. So if you go to game 1, Gleyber Torres was 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 1 walk. Perfection, absolute perfection. That's why I'm going with Gleyber Torres. I think Gleyber Torres was the best player in the whole series because he just got on base. He got on base, and that's all he did. There was only 2 times that he didn't get on base. That's it. And he didn't strike out on either of those times that he didn't get on base.
Maybe he was cheating.
So I'm giving it to Gleyber Torres. He was outstanding, fascinating. Actually, one of the games I believe that Gleyber Torres was not wearing the glasses. Actually, he might have not even been wearing the glasses for either game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that though.
I will still hold in my heart that I think that Gio definitely had the better couple games, just because of his defense.
Well, yeah, Glaber Torres. Gio Urshela is outstanding defensively, but are you really surprised by that though? Not really.
Are you basing this off a metric, or are you basing this off of your eye test?
No metrics. Unlike last year, where a lot of people or the metrics stated that he was only average at best, the metrics definitely support his case. Now, outs above average, not so much. But in terms of defensive run saved and UZR, he is an above league average third baseman and defender just in general.
Are you talking about the series for metrics, or you know what I mean? Like, are you talking about that Gleyber Torres was the best in the series based on some metric, or are you talking about just on the eye test?
Well, I mean, from looking at the games, obviously, if you go 4 for 4 with one walk, and then you go the next game, and then you do almost just as well, somewhat as well. I mean, obviously, you can tell that Gleyber Torres looks a little more comfortable in the box, I would say. He's looking good. I mean, obviously, if you take 3 walks in 2 games, you're obviously seeing the ball well. Is going for, just in one game alone, you go 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs. You're seeing the ball well, period, point blank. I mean, if you don't just get lucky off 4 hits in a row unless, you're the complete polar opposite of Gary Sanchez. Like, that's the only way that's happening. But I'm basing it off of just watching Gleyber Torres and watching him both the series. And obviously the metrics point to how good he was. I mean, like I said, if you go to the first game, by the end of the first game, he had a perfect average, a perfect on-base percentage, and a 1.750 slugging. And then, you hop over to the next game where they, had, or not Garrett Cole, obviously Garrett Cole was pitching game 1. But you go to Wednesday, the second game against the Indians, where Tanaka was pitching in the Monsoon. And you go to Gleyber Torres, and it says, 1 hit, 1 for 3 with 2 walks. And, his average is still at 714 and 800 on base percentage and 1.143 slugging. I mean, both the eye test and the metrics would prove that I think he was the best player in the whole series. If we're not talking about pitching, because, I mean, pitching, as you've stated, especially when we're talking about if Shane Bieber deserves MVP, is a little, is definitely something you should be skeptical about, because pitchers don't go out there and pitch every single game. That's why it's hard for relievers to win MVP, or even, Mariano Rivera winning MVP, because he doesn't go out and pitch every single game. As much as we'd love him to, but you are not that type of superhuman that you could go out there and pitch every game. I mean, you need rest too. But I mean, I can respect your claim. Obviously, Gio came up big. If Gio doesn't hit that grand slam, the Yankees simply don't win. We go to a game 3, and who knows what happens there. Obviously, Gio came up in a big spot. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, I think all of the players in general, what am I trying to say here? If DJ doesn't come up with that 1 hit, I think it's a much different game. If Stanton doesn't come up with the hits that he has, it's a much different game. If Gary Sanchez doesn't get those hits, if Gio Urshela doesn't get those hits, it's a much different game. So while I can definitely understand your claim for Gio Urshela, and obviously you can probably understand my claim for Gleyber Torres, I will also go 50-50, and I say that this was definitely a team effort game offensively. Everything counted. Every single hit, every single walk counted. Everything that all these guys did mattered.
I'm glad it was a team effort offensively. I wish it was a team effort defensively, but I digress. That kind of made me get high blood pressure.
So I think we pretty much covered all of this. Let's go ahead and briefly go through these. And I don't know how long this is going to say, because every time I say briefly, we go through like a MLA formatted research paper full of information, and it takes an hour to go through. First off, let's talk about the Reds and Braves, that final game. Again, just a complete travesty for the Reds. I mean, literally, Trevor Bauer goes out there and strikes out
12. 7 in the third, I think. 12 and 7 in the third. Is that right?
Am I looking at the
Like,
wrong
I've
game?
never seen a team come out this flat in my entire life. It's like they didn't know what time the game was, or it's like they weren't even playing. I don't know what they were doing. Like, they managed no runs in 22 innings. That's tough for a major league team to do that with some pretty competent hitters in there. I mean, we know Votto. Like, he's no slouch. Like, that dude had like a 420 OBP one year. Like, that dude knows what he's doing. These guys come out like they didn't know what they were doing.
I mean, Trevor Bauer literally struck out 12, and they couldn't score a single run in 13 innings. And then the next game, Castillo gives them 5.1 innings, only one earned run. The Braves don't capitalize on 4 runs until the 8th inning, and the Reds in a second game still cannot score a single run. So in the first game they couldn't score a single run through 13, and then the second game they couldn't score any runs through 9. And it's like, what in the world? Like,
who had a worse series, the Twins or the Reds?
Here's the thing. I'm definitely probably going to say the Twins because I think the Twins had more expectations moving forward. Yeah. I'm probably going to go with the Twins because at this rate, I'm sorry. I understand that the Twins have lost what is it 18 consecutive postseason games, but it's like, come on, like this is just a joke. Like you just got. You got to put that aside and be like, I don't care if we've lost this many in a row. We got to go out there and win a baseball game. And you know what the Twins didn't do? They didn't win a baseball game. That's what they didn't do. They played atrocious. That was one of the worst displays of baseball I've ever seen in a single series. It was bad.
Like, you play to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play to win the game. I don't understand what that team is and their massive malfunction is with playing in the playoffs, but like they were like the least competitive games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing: it's not even like the Twins' pitching was bad. It was really good.
It's just that Jorge Polanco had money on the game, and then the Astros decided, yeah, we'll win the second game. Thanks.
Like the offense couldn't muster up anything, but the pitching was fine. I mean, I can't blame. There were a few mistakes here and there, outside of I'm not going to blame the pitching for Polanco completely butchering a routine throw to second base. Like that's BS. You got to make that play.
I don't know how he doesn't make that play. That's literally, you get paid to make this play. And
I'm convinced Gleyber Torres makes that play. I'm convinced Andujar makes that play. Okay, so Andujar makes that play. Confirmed.
If Andujar is hitting himself in the face with that ball, I don't think you know what you're talking about. You know that.
All right, so moving forward, I think it was one of the most underrated series because I thoroughly enjoyed that a team got upset. And I said this. You remember me saying this, John, in a podcast before. What did I say? What did I say was going to kill the Cubs in the end?
The fact that the three-headed monster looks like they can't hit water if they thought of a boat. Went, 1 for 21?
Do you know the three-headed monster? Do you know who the three-headed monster is? Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, and Chris Bryant. They went a terrible 1 for 24 with 8 strikeouts. That is rough. That is extremely rough.
That's rough and also tough to do. That's very tough to do.
And it's just like the pitching was still really good. I mean, Darvish went out there and pitched well. Hendricks went out there and pitched well. It's just, I mean,
it's really good when you score 0 runs.
Kimbrel was even good, man. The Cubs still couldn't muster up any runs.
No, he gave up a run.
No, he didn't. He had a 0 ERA.
Yeah, but he gave up an inherited run. He walked in an inherited run.
What are you talking about?
He walked in it wasn't his run. It was Darvish's run. But he walked in.
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so on the flip side, on the flip side though, how do you lose a game 2-0? I mean, I get sick. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. If people didn't realize this already, they need to realize this now. Sixto Sanchez is gonna have a blessed career ahead of him. That guy has some nasty breaking pitches. Absolutely filthy.
He's all over pitching ninja all the time. I see him all the time.
And I can confirm that the second pitch he threw against the Cubs topped out at 100 miles per hour. The second pitch. That's insane. This guy is so good. He is filthy. And the Marlins pitchers, I mean, they were spectacular. The pitching staff from the Marlins was amazing. It was awesome. And it's not even like the Marlins came out swinging offensively. It's just the pitching was really good from Miami.
They got 5 runs in 1 inning. That's it. That was the first game. Done.
Yeah.
And the second game was like a solo home run by Yankee legend Garrett Cooper. And
Yes.
then a walk by somebody else.
So it's just like, it's not even like the Marlins were like a dangerous team offensively. It's just the pitching was really good. It was just...
It's just that a third of the Cubs lineup was pitchers batting.
Yeah, like Bryant, Rizzo, and I told one of my friends is a Cubs fan, and I was like, I said, are you worried about this series at all? And he was like, somewhat. He was like, why? And I'm like, I told him, I was like, there's no way the Cubs are winning. If Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez are still playing like below average, league average hitters like they were in the 2020 season, if they do not get hot, this team is fresh out of water. They are done.
There's a difference between being a below average hitter and being a hitter that just doesn't show up. And they had 3 people that didn't show up.
The only person that I can give a lot of credit to was Ian Happ. Ian Happ was carrying the Cubs on his back. But as you know, baseball is not a game where you can carry the team with one player, or Mike Trout would already have a World Series ring. So there you go.
Barry Bonds.
So
That's Barry Bonds how those rings are.
Moving forward, this is the most interesting game because I picked the White Sox over the Athletics. But the Athletics said, hold my beer, because the Athletics were not willing to go home. And while I did bet the White Sox, which I thought might have been a little foolish just because the White Sox, they lack any postseason experience, but they'll definitely be back. I think they're going to humble themselves and they'll learn from these losses and they'll be back next year. And I think the White Sox are here to stick around for a while. They're definitely a team that everybody should keep their eyes on, moving forward into the future. But man, I'm really happy for the Athletics that they finally got out and won a playoff series.
That's
I mean, they went out and did it.
I have no winning in this. I don't believe in the Astros, and I don't like that. I don't believe in the Athletics, and I don't like the Astros. So who's gonna win? I hope for the Meteor.
Now, I know a lot of people are saying that they hope it's the Astros because if the Yankees win, they want the Yankees to absolutely pummel the Astros. What do you think about that? Do you want the Astros?
Yeah, sign me up.
I mean, realistically, I don't really care. I just want to win the World Series. That's all I care about. But if the Astros happen to come in our way, then so be it.
Look, I'm going to be honest. If we get through the Rays, I don't see us not making the World Series. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, seriously, I don't care who we play. If we get through the Rays, then we're the people to go through. Mm-hmm. That's it. Hands down. I mean, like, who's left? It's either the Astros or the Athletics. That's it, right?
Mm.
There's no way we lose to either of those teams, in my opinion. It's a heavily injured Athletics team who just doesn't look like they're really that confident in themselves, and then you've got us who are basically just have gone through 2 pretty tough matchups in terms of both pitching staffs, and then we go to them and we're like, "Oh, what's up? Looks pretty chill around here. Don't mind if we do take a couple home runs off you guys. Thanks." Like, I'm not afraid of the Athletics pitching staff, especially Mike Minor and.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Whoever, I think, I am very confident and 110% confident that whoever wins this Yankee-Rays series is going to go to the World Series. There's no way it's not going to happen. There's a very slim chance that it doesn't happen.
I don't see it not happening.
So moving forward, last thing I will note, like I said, very impressed with the Athletics for what they were able to do, especially without Matt Chapman. That speaks a lot of volumes. But anyways, moving forward, I'm not going to speak much about this because it was a very boring series in general. The Brewers and Dodgers, we already expected the Dodgers to win that. It wasn't even close. I mean, what was it? Kershaw went out there, and what did Kershaw do? What did
8 innings, 13 strikeouts, 3 hits, 1 walk, and he picked off the only guy he walked.
I mean, just outstanding from Kershaw. I mean,
should have let him finish the game. That was only on 93 pitches. I think he should have finished the game.
He definitely could have finished the game. Without a doubt, he was cruising on cruise control the entire game. Which happened to not be the most exciting game outside of Kershaw just destroying the Brewers because the Brewers could do absolutely nothing. They looked lost. Moving on, though. because there's really not much to say about that series. It's probably the weakest series in the entire thing, outside of the Rays and Blue Jays. But I think was definitely the most interesting series, and most of my family is in cardiac arrest over it right now. They're going through some troubling times right now, especially with the fact that who is it? I think Carpenter and Molina might not even be on a major league roster next year.
I mean, Carpenter can get lost. I think Molina.
Or not Matt Carpenter. I think it was Adam Wainwright. Sorry, Wainwright and Molina might not play baseball ever again after this, which is regardless how you look at it, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like let's look at it this way. Jorge Posada, statistically, may have not been the best catcher in the world, but you can't sit there and tell me that you weren't emotional or upset whenever he eventually retired. You know, like he was just a part of the Yankees for so long. And that's how I feel about Molina. It's like Molina's definitely come off to where he used to be, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's got to be rough. You know what I mean? Like if that was his last game, it's just like, well, I mean, where do you go from here? If you lose both, Adam Wainwright and you lose both Molina, I'm not saying the Cardinals are done, obviously, but it's just it kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
I'll give you my perspective. So I got to see Sabathia's last game unintentionally. It was Sabathia's last game because that was a game where he tore his arm to pieces, and it didn't feel sad. It felt like complete. Like it wasn't like. It didn't feel like I was like, upset. I wasn't like, oh, never see this guy again. It was like, it just kind of felt like it was just like the end of the book closing. Okay, that's it. That's a career. He's had a great career, Cy Young Award winner, World Series champion. Like, he's done. That's it. Go off quietly into that good night. He's done. Like, I don't know. So maybe Cardinals fans are like that, who are just thankful that they got to be along for the ride for that. But, I mean, I don't know how he can keep doing it to himself. I mean, I think his numbers have definitely fallen off. And not to mention last year with, getting hit in the balls with a pitch. Like, that was suck. So, I just don't see it happening next year. I really don't see them picking up another maybe year for him. Like, really. It's time to find the next catcher at this point, I think. It's time to cut your losses. It's like Lundqvist with the Rangers. It was time to cut your losses 2 years ago.
But I definitely think out of all the wild card series, I think the Padres and Cardinals was the most interesting one. I will be up front and say that, obviously in the beginning I said I didn't really think outside of, Paul Goldschmidt and Paul DeJong, sometimes Colton Wong, that this Cardinals offense looked very intimidating. The first game they proved me wrong. The second game was very close. I mean, it was a slugfest, 11-9. Tatis is back. Tatis looked insane. Him and Machado went back-to-back. Tatis with the bat flip of the year, possibly. You could argue it with Gio Urshela. Tatis is in his groove finally. I know a lot of people are questioning it, but I'm like, he's gonna get in his groove here soon. And then you go to Game 4, and you got Jack Flaherty pitching. I thought this game was. It was crazy. I thought the last game. I'm not saying that I'm surprised that the Padres won, but I'm more surprised that the Cardinals didn't score any runs, considering that the Padres pitching staff was just reliever after reliever after reliever after reliever. It was just basically a complete shutout.
Didn't the Padres set a Major League record or tie a Major League record? I swear there was some team that pitched 9 pitchers in a 9-inning game, and that tied a Major League record. I think it was the Padres.
Yeah, 9 pitchers. 9 pitchers pitched in this game.
Yeah, that's a record, I think.
Nobody pitched more than 1.2 innings. That's crazy.
The thing to me, I don't know if you noticed a trend here, but it seems to me like that all these teams that score 0 runs in elimination games get eliminated.
That is such a specific theory, John. Wow. I could never imagine that the team that scores 0 runs would lose their games.
Every single team that scored 0 runs in their elimination games got eliminated. You wouldn't believe it.
It's literally a revolution. It's like Einstein finding out, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Yes, I'll come work for you.
I don't even know.
When do I start?
The finding out the formula for black holes and relativity. Like, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't
I
get
don't
it,
know if you
John.
noticed, but teams this year went 60-0 when they scored more runs than the opponents.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one interview or that one reporter. I think it was a basketball
It
player
was,
from
no, it was Booger. It was Booger on NFL who was like, they score generally. They need to score more runs to win or more points to win. I was like, yeah, thanks.
No, I'm talking about the basketball player from Baylor one year, where there was a reporter that
Oh
asked
yeah,
him. They were like, how did you get all those rebounds? He's like, well,
how did they out rebound you? Well, they went up and they grabbed the ball over the rim, and then it came down with it.
that's a rebound.
And they got more goals than we did.
I mean, what else are you supposed to say? What other response are you supposed to get other than that?
I don't know. But I know that exact clip you're talking about. It's great.
So, moving on, I think we kind of discussed all the series that we needed to. So, the last thing that we'll discuss is we have 4 games. We have 4 on Tuesday, but we're not going to discuss those games yet. We're just going to discuss the 2 that are, well, technically today, actually, because obviously the podcast is going up on Monday and we're recording this late at night. So we have 2 series tomorrow. Obviously, one is the Yankees and Rays, and the second one is the Astros and Athletics. So,
Okay, I have a dumb question before we start.
go ahead.
Is there a Monday night game, or did they cancel the Patriots-Chiefs game for Monday night? Was that what they did?
I believe it's on Monday night, but I thought I heard them say something about a possibility of playing it Tuesday night, which is really strange, but I think it's still
Okay.
Monday night.
That explains the timing of the Rays game then, because it's prime time. Okay, I just wanted to, I just trying to figure out if that was supposed to be the Monday night game that got canceled.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, obviously, we're definitely more inclined to go more into detail about the Yankees and Rays. So, just give me a brief description of what you think about the Astros Athletics series. What are you looking for from the first game?
I'm looking for a fight. So the thing that I've seen about this is that this is essentially the perfect matchup for every team. If MLB wanted to script this, they got every storyline they could possibly want. They have the Yankees and the Rays who hate each other. They have the Astros and the A's who have already fought once this year. They have the Dodgers and the Padres who we've been fighting all year, taking shots at each other. And then you've got the Marlins and the Braves who, let's be real here, have a pretty lengthy history of hitting each other, especially when you're talking about Urania hitting Acuna more than a couple times. So
you could even go back to the Jose Fernandez home run where he stared at it too long and the Braves had an issue with it. So I mean,
Brian McCann being Brian McCann.
I know. I'm just saying, just to prove your point that a lot of people might not realize how much history the Braves and Marlins have.
Well, I mean, that wasn't really the Braves. Like I said, that's just Brian McCann being, Brian McCann. I don't know. We will. So between the A's and the Astros, I really do expect the A's to just run away with the series. I mean, I don't really think that despite the fact they're missing Chapman, I really don't think the Astros have the pitching staff to deal with it. I mean, the Astros ran into a Twins team with stage fright. I don't know what they were doing. It's their own home ballpark where they've ruled this year, and they just seem to forget how to play baseball this year. It's like a foreign thing to them, like trying to read Korean. Like, I don't know why they couldn't do it. I think the A's will definitely win this series. Maybe not immediately with a sweep. Maybe they'll win in 4. Maybe the Astros get one when they pitch McCullers. Maybe. I mean, I just don't see that bullpen surviving against the A's. Olsen and the guy in the outfield.
Laureano?
Yeah, I don't see them surviving this series.
And that's mostly because of pitching. It's not that the Astros offense has definitely came into terms with a speed bump this year. I still don't think the Astros offense is bad by any means, but definitely their pitching is just it's not good. And I think that's the other thing that the Athletics have for them is the Athletics played extremely well against the Astros this season. So really that gives them the other edge against the Astros.
the A's are probably the team that is not the Rays that matches up best against the next round because they do have a good bullpen and they do have some good starting pitching staff. I mean, they've got some good pieces there. I mean, you never know. Jesus Luzardo could throw up a random game and just blow everybody out of the water. You never know. It could just happen. Like, he's got the stuff to do it.
And then moving forward, which this is the last topic that we will end off on the podcast tonight because we're going pretty long so far, almost an hour.
Yeah, I'm ready for bed.
Yankees and Rays. So we have Garrett Cole versus Blake Snell. What more could you ask for from a pitching duel? I mean, this is going to be a low-scoring affair. At least that's what I'm predicting.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, we match up very well against Blake Snell in the past. I mean, they, on the other hand, do not match up extremely well against Cole. I mean, if you remember last year, they really struggled to hit him in the Astros game. I mean, we have, I think, the better pitcher in Game 1, despite the fact that Snell has the hardware. I mean, Blake Snell this year has been all over the place. I mean, I feel like Blake Snell is constantly fighting between the fastball command and that sometimes he just forgets how to pitch sometimes for a couple batters at a time. And he's vulnerable like that. Cole, is just going to blow people away all day long. It's going to be a good match, but I feel like that we definitely have the advantage here. I mean, we have a better offense than they do. If we have an even pitching staff and better batters than they do, then that means we have the upper hand in this series because we're not playing in their home field advantage. We're playing in an NL ballpark. So we're throwing everything out the window.
That's very true. And, pretty much to nail the coffin, or hammer the nail in the coffin. Sorry, I can't speak right now. Can't English. I do definitely think that we have the better, the better matchup stats. Obviously, like you said, they struggled a bit with Garrett Cole last year. Garrett Cole is definitely a different animal than when he pitched, against the Braves and some of those other series where he wasn't so, solid. But he's a different Garrett Cole now. He's in his groove. He's in playoff mode. I don't expect anything different from him. I mean, he may not come out and pitch as well as he did against the Indians, but I don't expect him to, suffer any drawbacks for any of that. But
that's a tough ledge to climb if you're like, well, if he pitches as well as he did against the Indians, that's a tough mountain to climb. I mean, that's a high mountain. He did amazing against the Indians.
Here's the thing, though. If Garrett Cole goes out there and does somehow pitch better than he did against the Indians, I will not be surprised in the slightest.
The only thing I can see him pitching better is giving up less runs. I don't think he gets more strikeouts. I don't think he goes as long. I think he'll definitely go six innings. I think he'll hit his pitch count, which is about like 100, 110 pitches. I mean, I don't see the point of pushing him. Like, we have a rested bullpen. Like, just go to them. Like, put faith in them. Like, Garrett Cole pitches 6, fine. Green, Britton, Chapman, get out there with a win Game 1. Fine. Run away.
Definitely. Is there any key contributors that you definitely want to look at? Because I was thinking about it the other day, just by myself pondering it a little bit in my spare time. Like, I don't have all the spare time in the world as it is, but I was seriously thinking, I was like, when's the last time the Rays actually played a Yankee team that was fully healthy? Like an offensive lineup from top to bottom that was fully healthy and ready to grind at bats.
That's the thing. I mean, all I can think of is back when Judge had a big game against them during the doubleheader earlier this season, where he hit like a hung curveball like 3 miles, or was that Giancarlo?
Well, no, they both in that same game they both hit a home run. So
that was back when I think they played the most healthy lineup, but this is another level. I mean, if they walk in there with the same plan they had against Bieber, I think they're in good shape. They're in good shape.
And that's the good.
They knew what they were doing. All you need to do is just take pitches and see what he's doing. Like, just take what he gives you. Don't try too hard. And
that's the interesting thing, because even though they hadn't faced Bieber since last year, they hadn't faced Bieber since last year. They hadn't faced Bieber at all this year, and they hadn't faced Carrasco or any of these other or John Karinsky or what's his name? I'm talking. Yeah, Karinchak. I mean, he was a high-end reliever, and then you go to Bieber, and he's a high-end, obviously he's in the talks for AL MVP as a pitcher, and it's like they hadn't faced any of these guys at all this year because of obviously the scheduling, how it was worked in the condensed season, and they came out just swinging them. And it's like, if you can do that, there's no way you can't do that against a team that you've seen their pitching staff more than not, more often than not this year. And plus, let's be real. The Yankees also played Tyler Glasnow last year, and they played Blake Snell, and they also played Charlie Morton, and they played against a lot of these high end relievers that they still have as well. And guess what? The Yankees ended up crushing the Rays last year, so I have a lot of faith in them. I think the whole series in general will go to a game 5. I just don't see it not coming down to that last game. These two teams are too competitive for that to occur. But I might be being biased, obviously. I mean, I have to support the Yankees no matter what because they're my team. But I think in terms of just the fact that this team is finally healthy and ready to go, and we have a different Garrett Cole. Hopefully Tanaka comes back out and pitches well and bounces back from the start in Cleveland now that he doesn't have to pitch and start in a monsoon. Hopefully J Happ can do well like he was during most of the regular season outside of the Philly start where he's more confident and painting the edges and the corners and getting a lot of swinging strikes, which we weren't really used to as of lately. And hopefully we see good things from Jordan Montgomery. Hopefully the bullpen is good. Hopefully Adam Ottavino does something and doesn't crumble. I think there's a lot to look forward to, especially the offense. I'm very excited for this series. I have a lot of faith in this team, and if they end up losing, then old take exposed me for all I care. So
I think, in my opinion, is that this Tampa Bay Rays team has had to rely on people out of the bullpen relentlessly. We've seen them a lot. If you remember last year, the Astros series against the Yankees, we pitched the bullpen in basically every game. And Chad Green pitched like 4 days in a row, and he got destroyed because they'd seen him a lot of times. So I think that us having seen Glasnow and Snell a lot of times this season only helps us, and the fact that their bullpen, which we know they're going to see their bullpen at some point, we've seen them all the time for lengthy periods of time. Like, there's no surprises in that bullpen anymore. We know exactly what it is. It's not like they're going to be like pulling any tricks. Like, we know what they're made of.
Just don't swing at a lot of their breaking pitches that go out of the zone. That was the big thing. And actually hit a fastball. I mean, here's the thing. If they plan just like how they did and went in and swept the Cleveland Indians, if they go out there and score as many, they don't have to score that many runs as they did in the Cleveland Indians series. There's no way that's going to happen considering who the Rays are, unless baseball, of course. If baseball just has a twist that it wants to show its ugly face or its beautiful face, depending on how you look at it for that point of view. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen? I do think it's going to be a low scoring affair. But if they come out swinging like they did against the Indians, I'm sorry, but there's no way this Yankee team loses. If they swing the bats like they did against Cleveland for both of those games, the whole series, the Yankees are taking this game. That's just what's going to happen.
In my opinion, the longer this series goes on, the worse it is for us. Strike quick, strike fast, be efficient. Like, if we have to go to a game 5, I don't see us winning this series. Just because by that point, we're not going to have anybody left to start. I mean, if we can do this in 3 games, that'd be ideal. So that way you don't have to start. I trust Garcia, but just the fact of you using an untested pitcher in a playoff game just kind of scares me a little bit. Like, it really does. Like, I know he's so poised and everything, but just that prospect scares me. Not to mention the fact there's no days off, so you're juggling relief pitchers. You're going to be using some relief pitchers you don't want to use in situations you're not comfortable in, and they're going to give up runs. It's just the way it works. Like, the way it works in baseball, pitchers will give up runs. It's an inevitable. So, like, the longer the series goes on, the more at-bats they get against our pitching, and they know what they're looking like. They see what we're throwing out, and then they're going to get more used to it. It's like last year with the Astros series with Green when he got overused and he got destroyed in the last game. It happens.
Yeah. So, I think that's definitely a good, final note to go ahead and lay down for this podcast. Yeah.
My note is that if the Yankees are going to win it, they got to win it fast. If not, the longer it goes on, advantage Rays.
It's definitely something to agree upon. I definitely can agree with that. Well, that's about it for the podcast. Hope all of you guys enjoyed the podcast. We'll definitely try and have one out after the game on Monday. So obviously it will be on Tuesday before the next game comes out, and then so on and so on for each individual game. But I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. Hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully the Yankees take an early 1-0 lead, and we will see you guys on the next podcast.
Good luck, guys. Let's go, Eric Kratz.